Of course, Nico Alexio needs no introduction. He's a professor of sociology at Queen's College, where he received the President's Award for Excellence in Teaching. He's director of the Hellenic American Project at Queen's College, which is a great thing. He's recording Greek Americans and their voices. And he's the author of 5 books of poetry.
Thank you all for coming. For me, it was an anticipation. After 2 years of lockdown and isolation, finally meeting people. This idea started when we did a fabulous interview, Zoom interview though, with Penelope reading her poetry and other things, and then we said, you know, all this is good, but the human condition is to be part of the polis of the closeness. So we try to do that. And since tomorrow, for reasons that we need probably a year or so to explain why the Greek Americans have the parade tomorrow, and we celebrate various things. One is the 200 years, the bicentennial anniversary of the Greek War of Independence, 100 years from the Asia Minor disaster, catastrophe, and other things. So briefly, in my 3 minutes, say that what we learn about the Greek independence, that maybe the Greeks are old people, but it's a very new state, and the new state started after the end of the revolution in 1829, and by 1830 became the new European state. But it was not the Germans or the British or the Greeks who established the state. The state was established because of the Greek language, and was Solomos, the national poet, who established the Greek state, with Calvus and others. So, and what I like to say all this year, that the Greeks, they don't owe anything. They don't owe anything to their creditors. They owe to China. They owe everything to their poets. And to remind how history repeats itself, we heard a lot of things throughout the past year or the previous year about Philhellenism and other things, especially American Philhellenism. And it's true, the masses supported the Greeks, the Greek fire, as they call it, or the Greek fever, but not the state. It was because of the Greek Revolution and how marginalized it was and how unexpected it was against the tyranny of Europe with Metternich and others. The American state invented the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine invented in order to prevent the American government to recognize the Greek fighters. And since then, we suffer the consequences of the Monroe Doctrine. Even today or yesterday, Turkish airplane violated the airspace of Greece, and also they threat the islands of the Aegean Sea. And still, the Americans say, "Oh, it's something you should solve by yourselves," although we are member of NATO, etc. As far as concerns the Asia Minor catastrophe, the poem I'm going to read later is called Memorial Day. It's a story. It's about Neonia of Volos, my hometown, and I'm very proud in honor that Mr. Kirati, we are from the same place. And, thank you for accepting being here today. For Asia Minor, one of my ancestors, which is probably half or more of the population of Greece, he joined the Greek forces to fight in the Balkan Wars in 1912, 1913, in his late teens. And then he entered the First World War in 1914, and then the bloody allies mixed the Greeks with the μεγάλη idea, η μεγάλη ιδέα, the great idea, and they went all the way to Constantinople. He fought in the Sakario River. He turned back to Greece. After 10 years of continuous fighting, he joined the early stages of the Socialist Party, the second. He got arrested. This is how he was rewarded. Half of Greece was rewarded by fighting for their own country, fighting for the Greek flag, ended up in jail or in now Ireland. So this is a story about Asia Minor, about Greek independence, and it's only our great poets who can touch those things. What do you want me to say?
And Monica, you were going to present a poem or a...
Yes, of course, but I need assistance, and as I said, I'm not going to say how many years. Finally, we reunited again with Maria. Maria will read the translation. Please come with me. So, the first poem is, let's read the Memorial Day to commemorate the Asia Minor disaster. A lot of, for me as a sociologist also, is very problematic about the Greeks from Asia Minor when they came to America. It's difficult to count how many Greeks are in American soil. We don't know. Because the Greeks who came from Ionia, they came with a Turkish passport, and the American immigration authorities, they count them not as self-identification as Greek, but they count them according to their passport. We only had other passport of general entrance, something like that. So we lost a huge number of people there. So this is Memorial Day for all our predecessors before us who really fought for Greece, and not only. I'm writing a book now about the Greek Americans in the 1930s, and it was a strong movement of 150 Greek Americans and Cypriots who went to fight in the Spanish Civil War. The Greek American community refuses to mention it for some reasons, but we dedicate this poem to all the people, not only Greeks, the Americans and others who kept fighting. Will excuse me for a moment, because I forgot how old I am without my glasses. Memorial Day. It's an expression in the American Army. I'm saying I've got your six. I don't know if you're familiar with that. I've got your six. It is a code expression. The person who is with you, he or she has your back. I've got your six is a military expression. I've got your six. Με συγκατεμένο πυρετό, με ζεστό αίμα δηλητήριο, ξεχασμένος χρόνια στην ομίχλη, φορά την πιο καλή στολή του, ακροτηριασμένος. Στέκεται αδέξια ανάμεσα στο χαρούμενο πλήθος. Ραγίζει στο σκληρό καθρέφτη η μενεξεδένια του καρδιά, σαν χτυπάει δυνατά η καπάλα. Ο θάνατος μοιράζει κρατικές αιτήσεις, αγγίζει απαλά τον νόμο του. Θυμάται παλιές πληγές, πώς χάθηκαν σε δάση μακρινά άνθρωποι, δέντρα, ζώα. Κάποτε φυσά ένας φοβερός άνεμος, οργισμένος άγγελος ορμά στην ήρεμη πόλη, σαν άρρωστο απακτικό πουλί, ανάποδα κρατά το μυστικό ρολόι. Σαν λίτρωτη πομπή, οι ξαραμένες παπαρούνες, μιας άνοιξης αφανέρωτης, πάνω σε συντρίμια και κουβά τραύματα, ανυψώνει με την άκρη της μόχης στο περιθώριο της πέτρας, άφθαρτες, με ιδιαίτερες φτερούγες, στους λαβερούς νεκρούς.
Memorial Day, I've got here 6, with a crippled fever and warm poisoned blood. Forgotten for years in the mist, he wears his best uniform, amputated, he stands awkwardly in the cheerful crowd. His purple heart cracks in the harsh mirror as the bell toggles out. Death distributes federal applications. It brushes against his shoulder. He remembers old wounds, how people, trees, animals were lost in faraway forests. Then blows a terrible wind. An enraged angel charges at the serene city like a sick bird of prey, holding the secret clock upside down. In an unredeemed procession with wilted poppies of an unrevealed spring amid the rubble and new injuries, he raises with the tip of his bayonet along the edge of the stone, imperishable leaden wings to the luminous dead.
Sounds better than it is.
Oh, come on.
Yes.
The Greek is better.
Neonia, in Greece there are many Neonian or Nea Smyrni or Nea Alkarpassos, or people who came because they are forced to leave Asia Minor, came. And they suffer what many Greeks suffer in the States. When they came to Greece, they were Turks, and they couldn't go back like Greeks here, who are Greeks in America and Americans in Greece. The Kavafis dilemma, right? Alexandria, he was a Greek in Alexandria and Alexandrian in Athens. So this is the dilemma with Nea Ionia. What is the point?
It's English.
Read it in English first. Let's reverse it. Yeah.
Okay, should I go?
Yes.
Say so.
Yes.
All right. Nea Ionia, we hail from the land of Mir, in mystical light, from the immobile sun where eternal dust flows. The primeval gods brought us to new homelands. We swept the stony valleys with songs of horror and broken boards. In the red circle of dreaming, we stored a handful of the unspent salt of ruins. Can you hear the howling of immense silence on the tears of marble stones? We hail from the land of Mir in mystical light, from the immobile sun where eternal dust flows.
I remember when I was a child playing with children my age, young age, soccer in the fields there. They used to call them Kerzlen as hot Turkish. And then going to school and learning more, I realized that from Asia Minor came a lot of philosophers, like Heraclitus, and I couldn't realize why they call them these bad names, since Ionia was place of glory. Ερχόμαστε τη γη των μύρων και του μυστικού φωτός από τον αμετακίνητο ήλιο, όπου ρέει η αιώνια σκόνη. Οι πανάρχιοι θεοί μας έφεραν σε νέες πατρίδες, σαρώσαμε τις πεδιάδες της πέτρας με τραγούδια της φρίκης και σπασμένα κουπιά. Στου ονείρου το κόκκινο κύκλο κρατήσαμε λίγο από το αξόδευτο αλάτι των ερειπίων. Ακούς το ορλιαχτό της απέραντης σιωπής στον μαλμάδον το δάκρυ. Ερχόμαστε από τη γη των μύρων και του μυστικού φωτός, από τον αμετακίνητο ήλιο, όπου ρέει η αιώνια σκόνη. The third point, you took my notebook? The third point, it will go out of the per se, moved. It is from a book that's going to come soon. I wrote the poems. The poems are ready. But it is the publisher's fault and the translator's fault. I'm very happy to see again a dear friend and a publisher of this book that I hope you buy, not only mine, Astoria, and the other books that his publishing house does in the service. Dean Papadimitriou, thank you for being here today. And I hope the next collection of Queens, New York will be as much as successful as this one.
Yeah.
I remember when you told me a story when you went to LA, you were confident that people saw the book and they made the connections. Also, I was lucky enough to reunite with a dear friend from Volos, from Almiros Volos, because we are Sarkatsanides and we are an upper race of and with her organization, Citizen Tales, she involves many translators, also Petros is here, and Alethea and other members. And also soon we have a secret plan with one of the greatest American, Greek American, and Greek. I don't know how to categorize her because she's a woman an artist of universal, Jenny Marketo. We're gonna take some pictures of some photographs of Queens. She does, you do a marvelous project in President's Island now? Yeah. And you did the story many years ago, right?
Right.
So, next year we'll be here again, at that time, and we'll get the new book. Right? So, it's called Appenadi, and it is seeing Manhattan from Astoria Park or Long Island City. Εδώ, στο ποταμού την άλλη όχθη, στη γειτονιά του κόσμου και στις πολύφημες κορυφές της Ανατολής, το μαστιγώνει ο αγέρας σιωπηλά, αντιστέκονται στον ευτυχισμένο πανικό των χρυσών υπερμάχων και τις κλεισμένες ορμές στον τοίχο. Από νωρίς πολύ αγάπησα το φωτεινό θρόισμα της πεταλούδας, μέσα στις πικροδάφνες και τα ξεχασμένα εργοστάσια με τα σκληρά μέταλλα και το χαμένο αίμα, όταν στο ξαφνικό της πέταγμα καρφώνεται σε μάτι σκοτεινό και αστράφτει η ζωή. Αλληλεγγύη.
Here on the river's opposite bank, in the world's neighborhood and the colorful edges of the east, lashed by the silent wind, I resist the fortunate panic of the golden champions and the inflated cracks on the wall. In my early youth, I came to cherish the butterfly's southern rustle in the oleanders and the forgotten factories, with a wasted blood clad in hard metals. As the butterfly swiftly dances away, nailing itself to a dark eye, life blazes. Solidarity.
About here? Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Nico. That was great. And now we will have Stephen Morrow, who, by the way, provided the wonderful refreshments. I should tell you, Stephen is a distinguished actor, director, producer, and writer. And he's going to offer tribute to the great hero of the Revolution, Lord Byron, the poet and Philhelmine who gave his life for Greece. I would also like to say that Demetria Daniels is in the audience, and she has written a play, Ada, about Ada Lovelace, the daughter of Lord Byron and the first computer programmer, Stephen.
Okay. Thank you for having me, Penelope. This is by Lord Byron, George Gordon Byron, who you could say single-handedly started the Greek Revolution against the Ottoman Turks in 1821, which is an astounding statement. Not that he was the only one, but as Greeks are wont to do, the Greeks are busy fighting amongst themselves as much as against the Turks until you lie. But he really did do the end, even though he died. He actually raised an army of several thousand men on the swamps of Missolonghi. Unfortunately, that is a malaria-ridden swamp, and he died there before the first campaign. Nevertheless, he brought the attention of Europe on the terrible fate of the birthplace of Western civilization, the birthplace of democracy, Athens, Greece, which was slaves for 400 years. That's a long time. It's twice as long as the US. Imagine. That's how long they were under the aegis of the Turks. Oh, so I'll say more about it. He was quite a character. This is called the Isles of Greece. The Isles of Greece. The Isles of Greece. Where burning Sappho loved and sung. Where grew the arts of war and peace. Where Delos rose and Phoebus sprung. Eternal summer gilds them yet, but all except the sun is set. The Scion and the Tean Muse, the hero's hearth, the lover's lute, have found the fame of your shores, refuse their place of birth, alone is mute to sounds which echo further west than your sire's islands of the blessed. The mountains look on Marathon, and Marathon looks on the sea. And musing there an hour alone, I dreamed that Greece might still be free. For standing on Persia's graves, I could not deem myself a slave. A king sat on the rocky brow which looks o'er sea-born Salamis, and ships by thousands lay below, and men in nations, all were his. He counted them at break of day. And when the sun set, where were they? And where are they? And where art thou, my country? On thy voiceless shore the heroic lay is tuneless now. The heroic bosom beats no more. And must thy lyre so long divine degenerate into hands like mine? 'Tis something in the dearth of fame, though linked among a fettered race, to feel at least a patriot's shame. Even as I sing, suffuse my face for what has left the poet here. For Greeks, a blush. For Greece, a tear. Must we but weep o'er days more blessed? Must we but blush? Our fathers bled. Earth, render back from out thy breast a remnant of our Spartan dead. Of the 300, grant but 3 to make a new Thermopylae. What? Silent still, and silent all. No. The voices of the dead sound like a distant torrent's fall and answer, let one living head, but one, arise. We come, we come. 'Tis but the living who are dumb. In vain. In vain. Strike other chords. Fill high the cup with Samian wine. Lead battles to the Turkish hordes and shed the blood of Seal's vine. Rising to the ignoble call, how answers each bold bacchanal. You haven't pure dances yet. Where is the pure phalanx gone? Of two such lessons, why forget the nobler and the manlier one? You have the letters Cadmus gave. Think ye he meant them for a slave? Fill high the bowl with Samian wine. We will not think of themes like these. It made Anacreon song divine. He served, but served Polycrates, a tyrant, but our masters then was still, at least, a countryman. The tyrant of Chersonesus was freedom's best and bravest friend. That tyrant was Miltiades. Oh, that the present hour would lend another despot of a kind. Such chains as his were sure to bind. Fill high the bowl with Samian wine. On Sole's rock and Parga's shore exists the remnant of a line such as the Doric mothers bore. And there, perhaps, some seed is sown the Heraclean blood might own. Trust not for freedom to the Franks. Their king buys and sells. In native swords and native ranks, the only hope of courage dwells. But Turkish force and Latin fraud would break your shield, however broad. So fill high the bowl with Samian wine. Our virgins dance beneath the shade. I see their glorious black eyes shine. But gazing on each glowing maid, my own, the burning teardrop, laves to think such breasts must suckle slaves. Place me on Sunium's marble steep, where nothing save the waves and I may hear our mutual murmurs sweep. There, swan-like, let me sing and die. A land of slaves shall ne'er be mine. Dash down yon cup of Samian wine. Thank you. So, again, Lord Byron, known as mad, bad, and dangerous to know. That's quite a reputation to have in 1820 or so. He was born in one room because his father had married his mother for her money. That's what the English aristocrats did, waited for someone to come along, a woman with money, and married them. But he spent her fortune. He fled to Europe. Byron was born in a one-room, rented room somewhere in London. Eventually, he did inherit Newstead Abbey, which is this enormous 10-block long mansion, which was, unfortunately for him, in such utter disrepair, they had to rent, his mother and he had to rent it out because they couldn't live there. Eventually he went to Harrow, he got a good education, was writing poetry early on, but he had a club foot, which gave him a bit of, what should we say, a psychological bug up his butt. So he was out to break down all the rules in revenge, a chip on his shoulder, as it were. He did manage to swim the Hellespont, sincerely, really. And then he had a menagerie of anything you can name, which followed him, as well as the debts he incurred to support his lavish lifestyle. He made the grand tour of Europe, then when he returned, he married. He married the mother of Ada Lovelace, who indeed invented, was a brilliant mathematician, his daughter of a poet, go no, and actually created, minus electricity, the gears, the chains of a prototype of computer. So anyway, she seemed to object to some, shall we say, unusual penetration of her. And although he was the Mick Jagger, after Childe Harold's Pilgrimage was published, the next day he was a household name. People would line up back then for a book of poems to be published. Nevertheless, when she threatened to reveal his secret desire for her posterior. Only at the mere threat of making that public, he fled and was in exile for the rest of his life. He spent 7 years in Venice, learned Armenian, translated some ancient Armenian texts, and somewhere took it into his bonnet that he was in Athens. They say there's his Byron name graffitied on one of the stones of the Temple of Poseidon, not the Acropolis. And he took it into his noggin that it was an absolute obscenity that Greece would be enslaved by the Turks for 400 years. And finally what he said was, this is Byron, one of our greatest poets, said, if all a man can say about his life is that he has written poems, that's not much to say. Now, one little last anecdote. He got to know Percy Bysshe Shelley, or Percy Bysshe, I've never found anyone illuminate me on that. They went to Lake Geneva on a stormy weekend in Percy Bysshe Shelley, Percy Bysshe Shelley's young wife, his doctor, and it was only candlelit, it's stormy outside, and they said, well, we're here, it's like thunder, lightning, let's write a frightening horror story. And they did, and the doctor wrote one about a vampire, and that was apparently pretty interesting, the first vampire story. And the young woman wrote Frankenstein. She was Mary Shelley. So, that's quite a bit to say about something.
What about his bisexual side?
Well, I think I mentioned that. His affinity for his wife's posterior did not end with her. He also became friendly with several of the pashas under the Ottomans in Europe, say in Albania, I think. And he apparently, was in the company of many young boys, which was quite common back then. Now in England, the reason why he fled at the mere threat of the revelation of his sexuality, sexual desires, was that it was under at least pain of prison, but probably pain of death by hanging. So he booked.
Because he's gay?
So, sorry?
Because he's gay?
Yes, at that time, homosexuality was a capital crime.
Oh, just like the guy who invented the computers, Turing. He killed himself because of the threat of being imprisoned for the rest of his life. And that was just 40 years ago. 60 years ago. The Brit never apologized for that. Remember the Queen accepted his apology.
That's a very moving statement. So
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gone. We don't have all night. So that's it. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that. That's really
Thank you so much. That was wonderful presentation of this great poem of Lord Byron. And then we have Avi Atwazilo, excuse me, and she's going to, in kind of a similar vein, she presents something about one of the heroines of the Greek Revolution, a woman who's very wealthy, and she put all her fortune to buy ships and guns and to promote the revolution and try to get Europeans to also jump in. So, Avi, thank you very much.
A humble daughter raised on a rock, nurtured in sorrow, breathing only the air of patriotism, will be heard by ladies immersed in the pleasures of life, surrounded by their childhood from all the wonders of human spirit, the fine arts and luxuries accustomed to the elegance of manners and speech? So much opposition to our way of life can help our understanding, and I do not wish to be embarrassed if I talk about my rebellious, heroic homeland to women who only know how to deal with fashion revolutions. Did my dear Parisians predispose me badly against you? While I was fighting in Theotida, people who were near you told me about your customs. I found them paradoxical and light, but I want to believe that they judge you only externally and did not reach the depth of your heart. This woman's heart must be painful and sensitive, honest and brave like France. I want to be justice. I turn to you although I have some doubts. In political matters, there is freedom in France. The public discusses them. In a similar situation, women can exercise secret charm and influence men by inspiring them to make courageous decisions. I have no ambitions at all to serve an example. The love of my place, my devotion to my religion, the thirst for revenge filled my soul with rage and war passion. For days I fought in battle as you sigh after a dance. There is no common future between us other than natural pleasure bestowed upon us by heaven, but we even differ in the way we use them. You use them against their destination and you are still passive. I'm happier in my natural graces, useful and lawful for the glory and for the great benefits of the people. In your own way, you don't see men who admire your beauty, while I see in them the pillars of my country. Those who worship me become men, while yours remain slaves, since nothing else can be done by obeying you. Your requirements are fantasy. Patriotism is an unknowing feeling, and when you hear it, you will get a headache. In France, love escaped its noble destination. Dragon walks in living rooms at spectacles. Greeks want to be liberal, will owe their independence only to themselves, so I don't ask your intervention to force your compatriots to help us, but only to change the idea of sending help to our enemies. The war spreads horrible death to our land. In our desolated cities, families are mourning. A mother is crying for her son who died in battle, or for her daughter that she became a sex slave. A woman sitting on her doorstep with teary eyes, waiting for her beloved husband who left that morning armed. He will never come back. Ο Τούρκος τον έσφαξε. He was slaughtered by the Turk. Little kids crying, mourning for their father and ask from the people at the street to bring him back, and also their mother that died from the sorrow for his loss. Are you crying now, generous ladies? Forget just 1 minute your pleasures and demand the end of our suffering. While our forehead is crowned by laurel, our heart is watered by bitterness. Our tears flow our triumphs and our victory is sad. Κάμετε λοιπόν, ο δυνατές κυρίες, κάμετε ώστε να δοκιμάσουμε επιτέλους τη γλυκύτητα της ειρήνης και της ελευθερίας, ώστε οι Γάλλοι στρατιώτες να μην θελήσουν να βρέξουν τα δοξασμένα όπλα τους στο χριστιανικό αίμα των αδελφών τους και να μην ειδούμε ποτέ τους υπερασπιστές της χώρας, των τεχνών και του πνεύματος να ξαναβυθίσουν στη σκλαβιά τη γη του Λεωνίδα και του Ευρυπίδη.
Thank you, that's wonderful. And now, Christos, are you ready for another song?
I don't know what you guys did during the quarantine. I hated the COVID situation. It was horrible, but I love the quarantine. I love being away from people, and having to exit home, or having to put shoes on, and having time to work on my music, maybe start creating more. Did you all create as well? Some people did.
Just did great.
Well, part of my process when I write a song, I feel like I'm the vessel because the songs just come to me, lyrics and music. But it wasn't until a few years ago that I became brave enough to share them with the world. Up until a few years ago, it was just for me to share. So it was to my great surprise that a few months ago, people reached out to me from Greece. They had discovered my previous album because apparently during the quarantine, everybody was online, they watched and saw everything that was available on the internet, and they started going backwards. So they discovered my previous album, and that triggered the promotion of my new 2 songs that I wrote during the quarantine. And they're actually playing on the radios right now in Greece. And I would like to share one with you guys today, if that's okay. It's called Θα ήθελα να σου εδώ, and unfortunately I'm just gonna do it a cappella. Let's focus on the lyrics. Yeah. Let's pretend it's poetry.
Thank you for being very brave and agreeing to sing for us, even though a cappella, because we don't have it.
It's just gonna be a little boring. No, it's gonna be great, right? Okay. Θα ήθελα να σου εδώ και για κάθε ένα λεπτό να ανασένω τα αρώμα σου, να μεθάω μαζί του στις καρδιάς σου το ρυθμό, τραγουδάω σ' αγαπώ και η σκέψη μου εγκλωβισμένη στη μορφή σου. Πώς μου λείπεις όταν φεύγεις, κάθε μου πνοή την κλέβεις, τα αγγίγμα σου λαχταράω, το φιλί σου αναζητάω. Το μυαλό μου σταματάει κι αν ο κόσμος προχωράει, δεν με νοιάζει, δεν το ξέρω, ένα πράγμα περιμένω. Θα ήθελα να σου εδώ και για κάθε ένα λεπτό να ανασένω τα αρώμα σου, να μεθάω μαζί του στις καρδιάς σου το ρυθμό, τραγουδάω σ' αγαπώ και η σκέψη μου εγκλωβισμένη στη μορφή σου. Το ρολόι μου κοιτάζω και μηνύματα διαβάζω, μα ο χρόνος δεν περνάει, με κοιτάζει και γελάει. Προσπαθώ να ηρεμήσω, τη δουλειά να συνεχίσω, τα χαρτιά μου όλα απλώνω, μα εσένα θέλω μόνο. Θα ήθελα να σου εδώ και για κάθε ένα λεπτό να ανασένω τα αρώμα σου, να μεθάω μαζί του στις καρδιάς σου το ρυθμό, τραγουδάω σ' αγαπώ και η σκέψη μου εγκλωβισμένη στη μορφή σου.
How was Andy say? This is a Nigerian who thinks he is from Thessaloniki, Greece. And he does a Herculean job to maintain a bookstore with Greek books in Astoria with the Greeks who don't read Greek.
Πρώτα απ' όλα θα ήθελα να πω ένα μεγάλο ευχαριστώ στον φίλο μου τον Νίκο, ο οποίος πάντα ό,τι συνέβη στην κοινότητα μας με θεωρεί Έλληνας και πρέπει να παρακολουθήσω την εκδήλωση. Το μόνο πρόβλημα που έχω με τον Νίκο είναι ξεκινήσαμε πριν από 15 χρόνια, είπαμε θα κάνουμε 3 βιβλία και μέχρι σήμερα καταφέραμε να κάνουμε μόνο μαζί 1 βιβλίο, το οποίο ονομάζεται Νόστος. Άρα Νίκο, θα σε εκτελήσω σήμερα εδώ, που δεν έχουμε καταφέρει να κάνουμε και τα άλλα τα 2. Εσύ είσαι ο καθηγητής, εγώ είμαι απλώς ένας βιβλιοπόλης.
And although we found the titles,
Right.
this is Nostos, that is Eros, and that is Thanatos. So yeah, so we have the titles.
Για μένα η Ελλάδα είναι πατρίδα. Όχι πατρίδα μόνο δικιά σας, είναι πατρίδα της ανθρωπότητας. Και πρέπει κανείς να περπατήσει τους δρόμους της Αθήνας, της Θεσσαλονίκης, της Κρήτης, του Βόλου, της Ιγουμενίτσας, για να καταλάβει ο Έλληνας πραγματικά είναι αλλαιώτικος άνθρωπος. Είναι άνθρωπος, και αυτό το λέω από τα βάθη της καρδιάς μου, γιατί τους έζησα, με πήραν σαν παιδί, με σπουδάσανε, με τρέψανε και με κάνανε άνθρωπο. Πολλές φορές οι φίλοι μου εδώ και όπου περνάνε σε όλο τον κόσμο μου λένε ότι εσύ κάτι διαφορετικός σε χαρακτηρίζει. Και λέω μέσα μου, είναι Ελλάδα. Ο Έλληνας πρέπει να είναι πάντοτε αυτός που είναι, αυτός που έχει πάρει από την ιστορία της, από τη θρησκεία της, από τον πολιτισμό της, πρέπει να παραμένει ίδιος. Πέρα από ότι τον κυνηγάνε από κάθε γωνία. Και είναι αυτή η δώρα του Θεού που ο Έλληνας έχει, γι' αυτό τον κυνηγάνε. Εγώ σας το λέω γιατί το έζησα σαν παιδί από την Ιγυρία που θέλαμε να γίνουμε Αριστοτέλη, Ιπποκράτης, θέλουμε να γίνουμε αυτοί οι μεγάλοι Έλληνες με τα διάφορα μυαλά που έχουν. Και καταφέραμε, τουλάχιστον εγώ είχα τη τύχη να σπουδάσω στο Αριστοτέλειο Πανεπιστήμιο το όνειρο της ζωής μου. Και ύστερα που έχω αποφύτησα από εδώ και περίπου 32 χρόνια, ακόμα ζω τη Θεσσαλονίκη μέσα. Λοιπόν, οπότε είμαι πάντοτε χαρούμενος όταν βρίσκομαι σε κοινότητα δικιάς μου ανθρώπους και θα σας αφήνω σήμερα με ένα ποίημα που δεν ξέρω κατά πόσο μπορούμε να εμφυτεύσουμε στα Ελληνόπουλα σήμερα όταν διαβάζουν τον εθνικό ύμνο, όταν το ψάχνουν, το τι σημαίνουν αυτές οι λέξεις. Σε γνωρίζω από την κόψη του σπατιού τη τρομερή. Σε γνωρίζω από την όψη που με βία μετράει τη γη. Από τα κόκαλα βγαλμένα, Ελλήνα γερά. Χαίρε, χαίρε ελευθερία. Πάντα η Ελλάδα, με ελευθερία, με ελληνισμός και να μην αλλάξετε. Όπως είσαστε, εμένα μου αρέσει. Ζήτω Ελλάδα!
Thank you for the beautiful Greek. And now we are going to have a special treat because Vasiliki Rapti, who is a professor at Emerson College, which is, she's mostly teaching with an emphasis on writing and drama. She came all the way from Boston, and she's going to offer a selection of her poetry for Vasiliki.
Καλησπέρα. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Penelope, for having us today. My friend and translator Peter is going to be my partner tonight in this meeting. And we have a selection of poems from two poetry collections. First one, Transitorium, a bilingual English and Greek. It was published by Somerset Congress and the team according to you in 2015. And the second one is from my newly published collection, which is in Greek. It's called Iletestiki Ledimou, and is published by Melanie in 2001. And my friend Peter has just translated it in its entirety, and it's in the process of being published.
Still under revisions at this point, so you're getting a first snuff.
So we are very, very grateful to you, Penelope, to you, Nico, to Peter for being here, Maria, Agni, everyone. Thank you so much. So let's get started.
Your wings, Libellula, take my breath away. Little siren, Lamia, Yakshini, seductive junk. I am moonstruck for you. I am eager now that
Τα φτερά σου, Λιμπελούλα, μου κόβουν την ανάσα. Μικρή σιρήνα, λάμια, Γιαξίνη, σαγίνη, λαγίνη, σεληνιάζομαι για σε, βιάζομαι, τώρα που... You can see this is freedom or personified freedom, ελευθερία. Ξύπνημα. Εναρχή ελληνικά. Εστίες φωτός. Παραμύθι. Σχέδιο για ένα σύννεφο δίχτυ. Δέομαι το φως. Νόημα. Αφρός. Η αρχή. Φτερά χρυσά. Όμορφος κόσμος. Διάφωτο αλόνι. Λευκό φανελάκι. Ρεύμα επιθετικής αγάπης στην πλάτη, όπου περώνες νερού αδιφάγες, σκουριασμένες, μιας μέδουσας μυστικής, ακραίας, κολλασμένης, εκτινάσσονται μακριά.
awakening. In the beginning, the Greek tongue, hearths of light, fairy tale, blueprint for a red cloud. I beseech the light, meaning, foam, clamor, golden wings. Beautiful world, translit threshing floor, white undershirt, a draft of aggressive love on the back, where hooks of water, ravenous, rusty, of a secret Medusa, extreme, damned, jet, away!
Now we're going to move to the poem that comes from My Very Fine Lady, the new one, which is more later than the previous one, which was transitory, full of extremes, like this realist spirit that is always inspiring. Σελήνη διπλής ή μονής τροχιάς, σαν ζωγραφιά που σε γυρνά πίσω στις ρίζες σου ή σε ένα μονοπάτι, αντίκριστα μακρινά σύννεφα που έλκουν τις ανελαίητες αδικήσεις μιας μοναχικής καρδιάς προς το απίθμενο ασημί μιας ανίποτης λάμψης, του φεγγαριού η παλιά τροχιά.
Moon in a double or single orbit. Like a painting that takes you back to your roots, or to a pathway opposite faraway clouds that summon the relentless resonance of a solitary heart to a fathomless, ineffable silver glow. The orbit of the moon as it once was.
Η λεπτέστητη Lady μου, τιμή στη μαντόμαυρο γένος. Ενώ βάδιζα προς τον πόλεμο, το βλέμμα σου ράγισε τη σιωπή χιλιατηρίδων. Ο τρόπος ο δικός σου έχει φωλιάσει στο μυαλό μου. Η ματιά σου, ο κόσμος μου όλος.
My very fine lady, as I set off to war, your gaze fractures the silence of millennia. This manner of yours nests in my mind. Your eyes, the entire world.
Οδηγίες της J.D. Ένας μοναχικός άνεμος φυσάει στο Plum Island. Όταν έφυγες, ήταν ανθισμένες οι δαμασκηνιές. Ήταν τότε που οι άνθρωποι έλαβαν από χαρά. Όταν το σπίτι μας ακόμα θεωρούσε χρυσάφι το γέλιο και την αγάπη. Εκείνη η λεπτεπίλεπτη κυρία που κάποτε φλέρταρες, ποτέ δεν έφυγε. Είναι ακόμη εδώ, με τις μανούβρες της και το νήμα του μανιασμένου ανέμου που θα σε φέρει πίσω.
Directions. A desolate wind blows on Plum Island. When you left, were the beach plums in bloom? Was it then that people radiated with joy? When our homes still treasured love and laughter? That wisp of a lady you once entertained never left. She is still there maneuvering the rope of the raging wind that will bring you back.
Θύμες. Καθώς τα χρόνια στροβιλίζονταν, μετέτρεπαν την άμμο της θάλασσας σε βράχους. Είναι επειδή ποτέ δεν άφησαν τα κυπαρίσια να φράξουν το δρόμο τους. Η φεγγαρόφωτη νύχτα διφογελούσε όλα αυτά τα χρόνια.
Dunes. The years swirled, spinning sea sand into stone. You see, they never let the cypress tree stand in their way. The moonlit night secretly smiled through all those years.
Ένιγμα. Γκρεμνοί, καταράκτες, ριάκια, πουλιά. Πλεούμενη ζωή σε ξάστερες μέρες. Βλέποντας μπουκέτα νοσταλγίας από άνθια κλαδιάς και ανασένοντας την ομίχλη που έχει πιαστεί στον ιστό της αράχνης, ιερουργό.
Enigma. Cliffs, cascades, creeks, birds. Floating life on dazzling clear days, weaving blossoms of longing. Pear blossoms, inhaling mists out of gossamer floss. Sacred adoration.
Θράψματα. Οι τρόποι της ζωής σου διαφεύγουν. Καμία εναλλακτική, αν ίσως αλλάζαμε τα αστρικά μοντέλα, νοσταλγώντας, όλο νοσταλγώντας.
Fragments. The ways of the world elude you. Any way around it? What if we changed the map of the stars? Wistful, ever wistful.
Αιώνια εγκαρτέρηση. Την αυγή, η ιονή της γέννησής σου από τα βάθη της νύχτας τρίκλισαν στα μπροστινά σκαλιά του σπιτιού σου, ξεσκαλίζοντας την απλότητα. Τραβώντασε από μια άγνωστη πύλη, μετά από ομφλώδεις αποστάσεις, σε έριξαν ανάμεσα σε μυριάδες πολύχρωμα παγόνια, για να μάθεις την τέχνη της εγκαρτέρησης. Συρνάμενη, ελεύθερη μετά από κάμποσους αιώνες, στροβιλίστηκες, εξφενδονίστηκες στην αγκάλη του φεγγαριού.
Perpetual perseverance. At dawn, omens of your birth from the depths of the night swayed on the steps of your dwelling, seeking simplicity. Tugging at you through an unfamiliar gate, after ages in the mist, you were cast among myriad multicolored peacocks so that you might learn the skill of perseverance. Dragged out, freed after eons, flung, whirling into the embrace of the moon.
Now we're going to read a poem by our friend and a poet and translator, Eva Keitaji-Kouliumi, which we translated together with Peter. I'm going to read it in Greek and Peter in English.
And I'll just add that Vasiliki and I are going to be working with the poet in Greece in the month of August on a new collection of her poetry that's yet unpublished, and we're hoping to at least achieve a draft of a translation of the entire collection.
Με λένε Εύα. Με λένε Εύα και είμαι μισή. Κομμάτι από το πλευρό του άλλωστε. Με αποκάλεσαν άτακτο στοιχείο. Έφαγα το κεφάλι του ουρογόρου Όφεος, αυτό στην ουρά του. Ο Αδάμ το μήλο. Μετά ο κόσμος ήρθε στα ίσα του. Επινοήθηκαν σπουδαίες έννοιες. Μίασμα, ύβρις, δολιότητα, εκδίωξη. Χρήσαμε εφέτη, τον εθίσαμε να κλέβει στο ζύγι. Ένοχο ορίσαμε την ενδόμηχη επιθυμία. Μου ανατέθηκε να την προσωποποιούμε. Την θύμιζαν ο αριστερός μαστός μου, το τρέμουλο των βουλτών, εκείνο το λακάκι στο λαιμό μου. Χάσαμε τα άδολα εκμαγεία βέβαια, όμως κερδίσαμε στην αναζήτηση. Πώς θα αντέχονταν αλλιώς τέτοια ανία, τέτοια τελείωση. Το πιο σπουδαίο ωστόσο συμβαίνει τις νύχτες, όταν μετουσιώνεται η στιγμή σε αιωνόβιο δέντρο. Τότε, αφοσιωμένη της υποκλίνομαι, βγαίνω από τον εαυτό, γίνομαι φτερό Ίκαρο, λιώνω στο στέρνο του άντρα. Και να σκεφτείς, όλοι τους έχουν εξέλθει από τη μήτρα μου. Και ο πρωτόπλαστος, και ο Άβελ, και ο Κάιν, και οι θεοί, και τα δαιμόνια.
My name is Eva. My name is Eva, and I am one half. A piece of his side, after all. They called me a naughty thing. I ate the head of the Ouroboros. The snake ate its own tail, and Adam the apple. Then the world came to its senses. Great concepts were invented. Miasma, hubris, cunning, expulsion. We anointed a supreme judge to tip the scales and turned innermost desire into guilt. I was destined to personify it. My left breast and the trembling of my buttocks and that dimple in my throat recalled it. We of course lost the caste of innocence, yet we came out winners in the quest. How else could such tedium and perfection be bearable? The most important thing, nevertheless, happens at night, when the moment is transfigured into a perennial tree. Then I bow to it with devotion. I come out of the self and become a feather of Icarus, melting into the man's chest. Imagine, all were born of my womb, the first man, both Abel and Cain, and the gods and demons alike.
Now we're going to move to some poems that I'm currently writing and not participating. Τόσο καιρό μονάχη της. Θεές στο χορό γεμίζουν την αίθουσα με χάρη και άρωμα κανέλας. Μειούν τις κορασίδες στη γαμήλια ιεροτελεστία. Ο ποιητής κρυφακούει πίσω από τα λευκά άνθη ροδακινιάς και τις μαυγές ορχιδέες. Από την κλειδαριά βλέπει την νεόνυμφη να αναστενάζει κάτω από τα λευκά σετόνια.
Alone for so long, goddesses of the dance fill the hall with grace and a scent of cinnamon, inducting young maidens into the rites of wedlock. The poet stealthily listens behind the mauve orchids and white peach blossoms, and through the keyhole spies on the bride, heaving a sigh beneath the limpid sheets. And the next few poems are mine. As some of you know, in the Greek Orthodox wedding ceremony, there's a ritual procession around the altar, which likely started as a dance in ancient times, and it's known as the Dance of Isaiah. Dance, prophet, dance. What will you foretell? Dance, prophet, dance. Dance with the betrothed in a procession with crowns, their path tethered with blossoms and pearls. Dance, prophet, dance. What will you foretell? Dance, prophet, dance. Will the circle round and round in solemnity and nerves bring brightness or gloom, misery or mirth? Dance, prophet, dance. What will you foretell? Dance, prophet, dance. Each revolution, an unfolding or a closed endless loop. Life or half-life, flourishing or wreckage. Dance, prophet, dance. What will you foretell? Dance, prophet, dance. Dance. Dance.
That was a poem by Peter, of course.
We are mine as well. If you could imagine for a moment the Acropolis of Athens, the Erechtheion with the Porch of the Maidens looking towards the Grand Temple, the Parthenon. Muses. Little bird, Pulakina, soothing words in her Aunt Bee apron. Flour on her wizened hands, aniseed vapors wafting from the ancient gas contraption that she feared would someday explode. Sweetness, sugar. Terms of endearment from the other muse in my midst. Quiet strength, determination, prickly stability. Caryatids, weathered since the time of their sculpting, though they kept their arms, watching from afar and admiring how I now carried on my somehow sacred tasks amidst the pillars opposite, not quite within reach. Dreams, rêves, όνειρα, sueños. Most fade like a film I don't recall seeing. Then there are those that loop on a never-ending repeat, relentless details that spin and go round, looping, looping. Last night, in a snowy town away from home, it was lines and letter strokes, stabs at calligraphy in midnight blue and magenta, attempts at mastery that never end, amidst itches and tosses and turns. But then I suppose that's what dreams are for. The soul's attempts at mastery that maybe never comes. And one last one of mine. This was written on the last night of a long trip to South Africa in 2004. I just visited Robben Island, where Mandela and others had been imprisoned. There's a reference in the poem to District 6 in Cape Town and to Sophia Town. They're communities that were razed to the ground and from which residents were forcibly displaced. And this fits with the theme of freedom and also the theme of oppression. Gates. Gates, metal, grinding steel, bars and shards and pointy spikes. Gates that keep people in. Gates that keep people out. Forts, islands, districts, towns, sixes and Sophias. Hermetic seals that separate and suffocate. Umbelele, prayer. Console the hearts that fear. Fill the stomachs that steal. Melt the gray gunmetal and barbs. Quell the tears that press people into protective pens. Them, us. At night, a warder's key still grinds and creaks in locks of rusted steel.
And now the same poem in translation of mine. Θύρες, θύρες, μέταλλο, ατσάλι που τροχίζεται, σίδερο, θρηματισμένο γυαλί και σπάθινες αιχμές. Θύρες που κρατάνε εσώπλιστους, θύρες που κρατάνε ανθρώπους εκτός. Φρούρια, νησιά, περιφέρειες, δήμοι του έκτου και της σοφίας. Ερμητικές φραγίδες που διαχωρίζουν και πνίγουν. Ουμπελέλη. Δώσε παρηγοριά στις φοβισμένες καρδιές. Δώσε τροφή σε εκείνους που κλέβουν. Λιώσε τα γκρίζα όπλα και τα σηματοπλέγματα. Κατασύγασε τον τρόμο που στιβάζει τον κόσμο σε προστατευτικά μαντριά. Εκείνους, εμάς. Τη νύχτα του φύλακα το κλειδί που ακόμα αγωνίζεται στο τροχό και εμπρίζει σε κλειδαριές από ατσάλινη σκουλιά.
To finish our readings, excuse me, another few pieces from Sienki's most recent collection.
We're out of time.
Yes, and we're almost done. Thank you. Yes, we're almost done.
Of course.
Και τελικά, οι νυφάδες τελικά έπεσαν πάνω στη πράσινη χλώρη. Οι ιτιές ευλαβικά υποκλήθηκαν στη μοιραία φύση. Και εκείνη, με μια βαθιά ανάσα, υποκλήθηκε στο εσωτερό πρότυπο της μορασιάς.
Finally, the snowflakes have finally fallen on the grassy green, and the willows have reverently bowed to the fate of nature. And she, with a deep sigh, is finally bowed to the innermost primeval solitude.
Τα χρόνια της λύθης. Της βροχής η επίσκεψη, σκοτεινό ένιγμα που τυχαία σκεπάζει το ανθρωπόκαιμο. Θρεπτική ομίχλη, φέρε μου το κρασί σου. Εκείνο της λύθης που ξέρει να κλέβει συντρίμια, κραυγές, οδυρμούς.
Years of oblivion. Rain pays a visit, a dark enigma which by chance shrouds the realm of humanity. Nurturing mist, bring me your wine, the wine of oblivion, which knows how to steal away wreckage, screams, and sorrows.
Αδράνεια. Όπως και του φίλου μου η αδιάψευστη δεξιοτεχνική ιδιοφυΐα, ένα μοναχικό πουλί εξαφανίζεται κάτω από ένα φεγγάρι ποτάμι, θολώνοντας στον αέρα το βαρύ «Ποιος είναι?». Ένα περιβόλι σε πλήρη άνθηση μεταξύ παλιών δέντρων νοχελικά προσκαλεί την καλύτερη μέλισσα να πιει το νέκταρ και να απαλλαγεί από τη γλυκύτητά του. Μια γυναίκα μόνη της, τρώγοντας μήλα, ατενίζει την ομίχλη σε έναν όρμο που σχηματίζει μύριες μορφές και στοχάζεται τη συνένεση ανάμεσα στα μακρινά σύννεφα.
Stillness. Like my friend's irrefutable brilliance, a solitary bird vanishes beneath a moon, a sky river, blurring a ponderous "who am I?" in the air. An orchard in full bloom amidst aged trees lazily beckons the most exceptional honeybees to drink its nectar and release its sweetness. A solitary woman eating apples gazes at the mist taking myriad shapes over the cove and ponders the kinship of the distant clouds.
And the last one. Ελεφάντινο φεγγάρι. Τραγουδώ τα αρωματικά νερά κάτω από κουρτίνες και ρημνικά ελπίδων και φόβου. Μέσα από μια εναέρια πύλη το φως φέρνει την ηχό ενός αιαρινού αέρα από πέρα μακριά. Το κεφάλι μου στο όνειρο αναδεύει καταράκτες, λόφους, λοφίσκους, από τρίχες, φωλιές, πιστούς αράχνες. Στη νύχτα των υπόγειων ρευμάτων διαφάνεια απαιτείται. Σαν χοές, ένα ποτήρι ρουμπίνι κρασί, σαν καθρέφτης διαπερνά τα οστά του ελεφάντινου φεγγαριού.
Elephant moon, I sing the fragrant waters beneath the veils and the tugboats of hopes and fears. Through an ethereal gateway, the light echoes an ethereal breeze from far away. My head in a dream weaves waterfalls, hills and knolls, from strands of hair, nests and spider webs. At night, the underground streams have diaphanous demands. In the mirror reflection, the goblet of ruby red wine seeps into the bones of the elephant moon.
Να πάρω την κιθάρα μου τώρα. Παίξουμε τώρα. Okay. Csak give me a second to bring the guitar up there.
Yes, we have another, this is,
Ioannis.
Sorry.
Ioannis.
Second church, John.
Okay.
You're gonna hear John performing at St. John.
I think that's a beautiful way to conclude our program. But I also want to say tonight that we have a couple of really distinguished people here. George Coxes, who is the editor of the Westview News, very happy, and he came to our party. And Dean Papadimitriou, who's the publisher of Somerset Hall Press. And you all are very distinguished, but I did want to bring those to you. So thanks, and we're going to have this last performer. It's a beautiful way to end our program. Thank you, everybody, for
Is this
Okay, so I have a couple of songs. I didn't write them, I just played them.
Just give us your whole name.
Oh, my name is Ioannis Koutalis.
Thank you.
Yes. And I have one, it's a little bit shocking because the warrior wrote it, Karaiskakis, warlord. But it's good for what we do right now because we talk about these people. So this guy wasn't a poet, he was a warrior. He was using some strange words. Anyways, I'll play these words. It's in Greek. That was their poetry. That's what they were feeling.
What is the song about, basically? Briefly.
The song is what the warlord Karaiskakis answered to the Turks. So, back in the days, the Greeks were not like they are today. When the Turks were doing bad things, and they were asking them to surrender or to do something or whatever, the Greeks used to answer like, okay, come grab my balls and, I do whatever I want, I'm in my place, whatever. So, they used to answer in very like, in a way that wasn't very polite.
Vulgar.
Yeah, because that's what they deserved actually. So they didn't try to make a sense out of, like, okay, but why should we do that or whatever? We know the answer. We have to discuss these things. So they used to speak like that. But they did a lot of the country, and to my opinion, everybody was good. People from outside Greece, some of them helped, many of them didn't help and did the opposite. But it was these guys who fought. It wasn't the guys who used to speak politely, to speak French, or to, were doing nice gestures. It was these guys who really liberated Greece.
Bravo.
And I have one more song if you want. That one is more poetic though. It's about Cyprus, it's more poetic, it's more like easy, smaller song, not too big. And it has better words, it's not like... The room where I become,